The internet watches us. I think it's not breaking news that people leave a lot of footprints on the web. That's why you see targeted advertising. That's why the search engine knows your profile, and even on YouTube you see ads that thematically match your preferences. Keep that in mind during the next ad. And don't forget to crack a joke that an ad popped up that said how to make your penis bigger. By the way, some people are still shocked by the fact that their phone is listening in. But it's not the FBI that's on the other end. Well, at least for now, but international corporations. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about, if you speak loudly and for a long time, the phone will pick out certain keywords from your speech, for example, cat food, and then you'll be shown relevant advertising. Many videos on YouTube demonstrate this.
We're going to do a test here. Cat food. Cats. You might need some cat food.
We should buy some cat food.
And there you have it. Cat food.
Even I've got some stories. Once my buddies and I had a lengthy discussion about monster trucks, those big cars with huge wheels. Guess what we got shown on Instagram after that? Although in reality, what do those damn monster trucks have to do with computer nerds like us? The closest we could get to them was in GTA. By the way, I've also dealt with people who happened to find out about this fact and decided that their mobile phone reads their thoughts. I mean, not metaphorically, but literally. But that's a much more trivial matter. To read minds, you need two things: a phone microphone and an unscrupulous app. One of these is Facebook and Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. It is a true data seller. If you think this doesn't affect you, think of the suggested friends section that you see on many sites. And those suggestions are damn accurate. Even if you don't know those people directly, they're most likely friends of your friends. But that's only the beginning of it all. The collection of information is not limited to Facebook's apps. Its data vacuum cleaner goes through your entire phone. Recently, we got a chance to see which app Facebook sweeps the data from. It turned out that it was monitoring all the contents of your phone. The collection of user data had been going for about 10 years, and frankly there were no obvious consequences except for the feeling that someone rummaged in our dirty underwear. After all, these are corporations, not jackboots with sticks. But last year, things began to change. If you wonder why all of a sudden Facebook and Google disclosed how exactly they collect our data, it happened because of the concern of the authorities. A problem that was not noticed before becomes real. It's not just about targeted advertising, which is just the tip of the iceberg. And in this episode, we will tell you about the new concerns that await us. How did it happen that the world turned upside down and now mayors of cities line up to bow to the heads of the corporation? Why any business can be replicated in a couple of months? And why the hell does free competition lead to monopolies? All these events are connected, so make yourself comfortable. Take a close look at this guy. Do you know his name? Or at least, what did he do? I bet this is the first time you see him, although you use his product every day. This is Kevin Systrom, and he created Instagram. It's believed that the king of the internet, Mark Zuckerberg, got scared of competition from the fast-growing service and decided to buy it. He offered them a simple choice: either you sell yourself or I will destroy you. Later on, chat logs were posted in which Kevin discussed with colleagues that Mark would enter destruction mode if they didn't sell out. This would be later used as evidence of unfair competition in the US Congress. It was the first time when such concerns of the growing influence of mega corporations had come from Congress. Last year, they brought in 4 main villains who can rival Santa Claus in popularity: Apple, Google, Amazon, and Facebook. The authorities tried to paint them as unambiguous evil, but it did not quite work out. Even if you take the Instagram story, Kevin himself would name not 1 but 4 reasons for the sale. Here they are. One of them was a real fear that Mark would start putting up roadblocks and simply copy their app, and this could be the end of Instagram. But this was just one of the reasons. They also discussed symbiotic benefits, useful for both sides. Well, not quite the image of eternal evil, is it? So, does it mean that all those old folks from Congress are wrong and they made a big deal out of nothing? It is also not entirely true, because another story happened. There is this app for young people, Snapchat. A year and a half after its release, the king of the internet got interested in it and wanted to meet with Evan Spiegel, the creator of Snapchat. Spiegel, who was only 23, had some balls and agreed to a meeting if Mark came to him for a visit. As a result, Mark, the richest young entrepreneur, flew in to meet the kid, although he had to come up with an excuse like he was going to Los Angeles to his designer and was going to talk to Spiegel on the way. Well, kings don't fly their jets to meet with some no-name. And you know what he did during their conversation? First, he tried to find out their development plans and then showed his own app, which was a plain copy of Snapchat. He called it Poke and asked Spiegel, "Well, what do you think? You like it?" Spiegel himself took this as, I quote, "I will destroy you!" After that, Spiegel gifted the book called The Art of War to every member of his six-man team. Later, when Poke was about to be released, Zuckerberg called the founders of Snapchat again and said, "Well, we're launching. Are you happy for us? Check out this new thing. We're all friends here and we gotta help each other." All they could do was gloomily admit that this was almost an exact copy of Snapchat. Fortunately, the clone didn't go big and the project was cancelled. There was one more try in 2014 with another copycat, but that didn't work either. But it could have.
Nice job, team.
Look, you are now asking this question, so I don't understand, Bony. Are you rooting for corporations or against them? What's your position? But there isn't one. The main idea is that we face something that didn't exist before. The analogies that we are used to do not work anymore. And the purpose of this video is only to highlight a trend that is forming right before our eyes. In the past, your business competitors couldn't come to your store, look at your stock, copy it in a year and overtake you. On top of that, when this happens offline, competitors would operate in another shopping center or another area or even a city. And most importantly, such things would happen between millions of businesses. But now it all shifts towards total consolidation. The entire market is being divided between a few corporations. We already live in a world where all apps are available only on two platforms, where every ad goes through a couple of companies and modern selling spots are represented not by thousands of options but rather a few marketplaces. Imagine the situation. You've made an app, and the most valuable thing here is not so much the technical implementation, but the idea itself. Whether it is an app sending self-destructing messages or a platform for renting apartments to tourists. And then a tech giant comes to you and offers you two options, either to sell out or be copied. The giant has long had the technical capabilities and now he's got your idea too. Thank goodness this only applies to digital entrepreneurs. Thank goodness real-world products can't be copied so fast. Or can they? Let's go back to the congressman that questioned the top managers of the IT giants. By the way, they were grilling them for almost 6 hours. Amazon had to explain themselves on the following. Today, about 2 million small to medium-sized businesses sell their products through Amazon. Unlike an offline shopping center, Amazon knows a lot about the product, what material it's made of, how much money is spent on advertising, how much of the product is being sold and to whom. And if this data looks attractive, Amazon copies not only the product, but the whole business. They even showed an example of a small business with a dozen products that got taken down like that, and former Amazon employees confirmed that there was access to all business data and customer behavior. Yes, even Bezos himself said,
Yes, aggregate data is allowed under our policies. That is correct. We have a policy against using seller-specific data to aid our private label business, but I can't guarantee you that that policy has never been violated.
And competitive businesses can not only be copied, they can be pushed out of the market. A real case was presented involving one of their competitors, Diapers.com. Well, Amazon wanted to enter the diaper market and get rid of the rivals. A business can be dealt with violently through connections, threats, and force, but tech corporations prefer a softer, more elegant, and most importantly, legal way. Amazon did a very simple thing. They started selling the same product but at a much lower price. They lowered the prices so much that they operated at a loss. No regular business can afford to do that for a long time. It will simply have to shut down. But the super-rich Amazon was ready to lose no less than $200 million a month only on this flash mob. In the internal communication, it was directly said, "We have already initiated a more aggressive plan to win against Diapers.com. To the extent this plan undercuts the core diapers business for Diapers.com, and it will slow the adoption of Soap.com. These guys are our #1 short-term competitor. We need to match pricing on these guys no matter the cost." Guess what happened a few months later? Amazon bought the competitor. What's more, after that, Amazon had scaled back its promotion budgets for diapers and raised prices. Marketing is no longer needed. By getting rid of the competitor, Amazon consolidated its monopoly status. In principle, all corporations do this. The winning strategy in this world is not to be in constant competition while improving your product and spending millions on marketing. The winning strategy is to buy or take a competitor out of the game by dumping prices for a similar product. People will naturally always buy where it is cheaper, and the competitor will naturally close down. We see similar stories unfold right now. And here is a paradox. Most of us support the idea of a competitive market without regulation, free trade and all that. Sounds great on paper. Each company can do whatever they want with their strategies, deals, and prices. But in reality, it turns out that competition creates a world where we choose only between App Store and Google Play, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, Amazon and eBay. Right now, once ordinary businesses can compete with states. Do you think this is just a fancy figure of speech and we're just exaggerating? Here you go. This is Russia's federal budget revenue against Apple's earnings in 2019. And if you add to the federal budget all the other budgets of all regions and cities of the vast motherland, then to balance it out, you will only need to add Amazon to Apple. This means that 2 companies earn more than what an entire state with 146 million people gets from taxes and selling megatons of oil and gas. The scale is especially striking when you realize that the founders of these companies are not friends of the president, but ordinary nerds that were messing with electronics in their garages 30 years ago. Anyhow, garages have long been a thing of the past. Now for top corporations, entire cities act as their garages. In 2017, Amazon decided to build its second headquarters and announced a competition for cities. Usually companies fight for government contracts, but here government officials were competing to attract the company's money. Amazon kind of said, "I will invest $5 billion in the city's economy and create 50,000 jobs. What can you offer me?" As a result, 238 mayors did not just apply for the contest, but literally began to fight for the attention of Jeff Bezos himself. It became ridiculous. The mayor of Kansas wrote 1,000 reviews and gave 5 stars to their app. The mayor of Tucson hired a truck to transport a 6-meter cactus to the Amazon office. In Birmingham, a huge Amazon box was pulled out on the street, and Stonecrest promised to rename itself to Amazon. In the end, none of these cities were chosen. Amazon is planning to build the office in Arlington, and it will look like this. Yes, the proposal was cut in half, but that's not the point. Essentially, corporations are getting on the same level with the state. And how should we feel about this? I don't know. Well, seriously though, I had my first concern when Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, accused Apple of a monopoly. And my first thought was, come on, it's their product, their ecosystem, they can spin it however they want. If you've got a problem with it, move along. But this analogy only works with small businesses. If you don't like pizza from spot A, go to spot B or Z. But what options do app developers have? It's like saying, If you don't like the country, you're free to leave. Okay, it's easy to say, but how many people can actually do it? After digging further on this topic, it turned out that at this stage of our history, when life drifts towards the internet more and more, several major players have emerged and their number won't increase in 5 years. It will only get smaller. And all users will have to accept their rules. These players can, if they wish, copy your product or even business in a few months, then dump prices in your sector and sustain losses because for them hundreds of millions is just pennies. It's a paradox, but it turned out that free competition leads to oligopolies, and we're moving into a world where people will either work for a corporation or be on the other side of its walls. It's not bad or good, it's just how it's going to be. This video is an attempt to identify an emerging concern in society, and there are many things to cover in our future videos. In one of them, we could touch upon Trump being blocked on social media, for example, or lynching via WhatsApp in India. Post it in the comments if you found it interesting to know more about corporations. Whether we will dig deeper depends on this. Be sure to share how you feel about it and what questions you have. Leave a like, subscribe, and click the bell. And I'm Bony Wright.